Clear the aisles and take your seats. Thank you for your cooperation.
This section B to C, it's kind of awkwardly written, so make sure you the B to C section, it's awkwardly written and always comes off a little funky. So just play your part and trust it. All set? Who called the link for that one? More? Okay. Back to the top. Back to the top.
Are we ready? Good morning. My name is Regina Pisa, and I am chair of the Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Simmons' 110th Commencement Ceremony. "110 years of Simmons graduates, what a wonderful record. Today, we congratulate and honor those students who are graduating, as well as all of you, family, friends, faculty, whose labor and love have made the day possible for our graduates. I would like especially to recognize the families of our graduates, the mothers, the fathers, the brothers, the sisters, the grandparents, the spouses, and partners who have sacrificed so much to make today possible. Would the family members of our graduating students please rise to receive our recognition and applause. The pursuit of learning is one of the oldest of human endeavors. In fact, these commencement exercises have their origins in ancient rituals. You see today members of our college community wearing caps, hoods, and gowns. This is a tradition that evolved from medieval times when faculty and students wore caps, hoods, and gowns to keep warm in the drafty classrooms of medieval Europe. The colors of robes and hoods signify the degree earned by the wearer, as well as the institution that granted the degree. Another academic tradition we still follow is using Latin. Latin was the official language of education for hundreds of years, and today our most accomplished scholars will receive the designation cum laude, Latin for with honors. In earlier times, students proved their readiness for commencement by delivering a learned address before the assembled faculty. This is another tradition we will follow today when we hear from our one senior representing her class in the centuries-old tradition of student oratory. Today is a day of looking back and looking ahead. We honor past traditions by wearing academic garb, listening to student orations, and using Latin phrases. And we look ahead to the future, which will be represented by you, our honored graduates. We, on behalf of the trustees of Simmons College, are proud of all of you and your accomplishments. We are confident you will carry the name of Simmons into your professions and communities with distinction, dignity, and pride. Congratulations. Now, please join me in welcoming Helen G. Drynan, the 8th president of Simmons College.
Thank you, Regina. I'm delighted to add my congratulations to you, our graduates, and to your families. You have, as has every class before you, made me extremely proud of your scholarship, your service, your enthusiasm for athletics, for music, for art and dance. You are smart, you are idealistic, and you are and will be successful. All those characteristics, combined with your Simmons degree, will serve you well as you continue your studies or begin your careers. I absolutely know you will do well and you will do good in this world, creating a better future for all of us. Simmons is awarding over 1,000 degrees today and 1,500 during the academic year. At this ceremony, I will confer your degree on behalf of the trustees and our faculty. Thank you to our commencement planning team and all of the commencement volunteers. Please stand now for the invocation to be delivered by Reverend Bonnie Jean Casey, advisor to spiritual life. And please remain standing after the invocation so that we can join together in singing America the Beautiful with the Simmons College Choir, led by Danica Buckley. Bonnie Jean?
We come from many countries and we pray in many voices. Some of us pray with hands folded, others with arms raised. Some pray with heads covered, still others with heads bowed. That is why I ask you to remain mindful of the many names we use to invoke that which is mysterious and most holy, as I invite you to pray with me. Let us pray. Gentle and almighty God, let our thoughts this joyful day include all people, graduates and current students, parents and siblings, faculty and staff, close friends and family members who are here to celebrate with us, or perhaps are not under this pavilion, but whose presence we feel nonetheless. Dear God, may we also remain mindful of those who have gone before us in death and have left to us the heritage of their memory and the legacy of their work. Spirit of life, thank you for the blessings of love and learning. We appreciate seeing your reflection in the beauty of nature, in the strivings of science, and in the elegance of the arts. Help us to pause and appreciate all that we've been given and all that you've achieved. Keep us humble and open to the hurting of others, in order that we might better dedicate our efforts to alleviating suffering, creating justice, and promoting peace. We ask that kindness surround us, wisdom flow through us, and love guide us today, tomorrow, and for every day after. Amen.
Will the two altos please report to the stage?
There's one. Where's your friend? Do we have no? Okay. Marching onward is first. Okay. Okay. We need words. Marching, marching onward, banners raised on high. See the girls of Simmons as they're marching by, steadfast, staunch, and loyal, finding in truth their might. They are ready ever for the conflict, standing ever for the right. So hail, all hail to Simmons, cheer for the gold and the blue, for her daughters ever will be loyal, Simmons to you. Please join us in singing America the Beautiful. Majesties above the fruit and grain.
Thank you, Reverend Casey, and thank you to our Simmons College Concert Choir, led by Danica Buckley. It is now my pleasure to welcome Zenaida Elena Peterson, she will deliver the student address. Zenaida.
Good morning to the Board of Trustees, to President Drinan, to our wonderful faculty, to the family members who came from near and far, and those who came from very far, and those who came the farthest from our first year of college. Good morning, class of 2015. While working one of the 4 jobs I have at any one given time, this one happened to be admissions, I couldn't help but think, wow, I have come full circle. The congratulations folders I was stuffing were so similar to the ones that we got, only our faces were all over everything. That is how you know it is time to move on, when you are on the admissions materials. I stopped and looked at all of the photos, recognized most of you, saw Tao with her science goggles on, saw Miriam with most mentees, saw people laughing on the quad during one of the few weeks it's nice outside while school is simultaneously in session. I saw the legacy we built, the Simmons that we made. A school is just a building without us. And yes, John Simmons gave us the foundation for celebrating education, dedicated his legacy to an academia for people who look like us, all of us. And yes, our professors and deans guided us to new ways of thinking. That is all immensely important. But we picked up where others left off and made Simmons what it is. We recreated the culture when we moved in that first day. We led marches and declared that Black lives matter. We organized and amplified the voices of our cafeteria workers so that they could win their union. We cared for patients. We wrote poems about Beyonce. We sang, we danced on May Day, we planned, we overcommitted, we became leaders, we stood up where many stayed quiet and took things into our own hands and changed how people see us, how we see ourselves. It is hard to explain the pride I have. It is found in vicious responses to people who question my education at a women-centered college. It is hard to explain the pride I have. It is found in warm gazes shared after a challenging exam, in the hallways or on the tee. On particularly hard days, I remind myself of that pride. I remind myself that I shared classrooms with the most brilliant and strong people in this country. Yes, that's you. I know that I'm going to see you all on TV and in newspapers with captions that say, LaShawn closes the education gap with her bare hands. Or, woman cures cancer in heels. And I will say, I know them. I stood behind them waiting for coffee back when they called it Java, before the blue lights. I am prideful because of who we are, what we have grown into, and who we will inevitably become, the power that we have grown into. But every day wasn't so romantic. We all struggled, had moments where we weren't sure if we were going to make it through the day, let alone to graduation. If any of you were like me, you didn't think about graduation much. Getting to college and staying here was an accomplishment on its own. Regardless of readiness, here we are. When I think of the last 4 years, I don't think that there was a better time to be in college. No better time to be at a women's-centered college. No better time to be at Simmons College, and I'm so proud of the headlines and the unsung heroes. Soon, Admissions will replace our faces with other students. The norms we've created will be replaced. Hashtag SimScenes will be updated. By crossing this stage today, we understand that that will happen. But there are three things that will never fade away: the black in these gowns, the dents in the stairs of the MCB that we deepened, and this pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Zenaida. I think we can all see why the tradition of a student speaker has been very important here at Simmons. It is a collection for the ages, no question. So, what we're going to do next is to award the 2015, Joan Melber Warburg Leadership Award. In your graduation brochure, you will see on, just as you open the book, not on the leaf, but on the third page, a biography about Joan. And I would like to just say for a moment before I award this wonderful, prestigious honor that Joan Melber Warburg knew about Simmons what Zenaida just told us when she graduated from Simmons in 1945. She has been a person with the kind of foresight that emulates John Simmons. She saw the importance of international relations at a time when surely they were important, but not as many people understood how important it was for us to place them in academic study and to raise them to high visibility. So Joan and her late husband funded the Warburg Chair at Simmons, and we have had many programs called the Warburg series of lectures over the years. We have put an honor for an undergraduate student in Joan's name to ensure that, like John Simmons, we never forget that level of commitment to this college, and that we set Joan's example out for all of us who follow her. Because the pride that Zenaida just spoke of is something that really makes a difference for this wonderful place, for all of us who are here and all of those who will follow all of us here. So take a moment, please, to read this information about the life of Joan Warburg when you have a chance. And now it is my pleasure to call up this year's award recipient so that I can tell you a little bit about her. It is Zara Muriam Ali, class of 2015. This is going to be a hard weekend for you to follow, isn't it? Zara Ali is an accomplished finance major, a thriving entrepreneur. Let's see the jewelry, Zara. Student government president 3 years running, and a poised, observant, and caring leader of her peers. Since her arrival at Simmons, Zara has worked hard to build a close-knit class with shared experiences, having fun together, studying together, exploring and enjoying the city of Boston together, and taking advantage of just about everything that they could. For Zara, every voice matters, and every opinion carries weight, and she is always willing to learn and eager to help others. Her leadership is quiet and unassuming. It is not unusual to see her taking time out of her busy schedule to join a nervous new student or someone sitting alone at lunch or dinner and asking about their experience, helping them to get connected with the community. She has been a constant presence at campus events and feels strongly that Simmons students should support each other's passions, leaving an important legacy for Simmons student leaders. Zara, Your impact on the Simmons community will remain long after you walk across the stage today. We wish you all the best for your future and look forward to seeing the trail you will blaze and the people you will touch along the way as you venture onto your bridge to the future. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We will now proceed with the conferring of the honorary degree. Simmons is proud this morning to honor a distinguished individual. She will be presented by Jeffrey Turner, the Chief Marshal.
I present to you for the degree Doctor of Public Arts, Abigail E. Disney.
You, Abigail Disney, have captivated the hearts and minds of thousands and drawn much deserved attention to the power of peace and the strength and dedication of the women who work for it across the world. Through your films, philanthropy, and activism, you have championed women peacemakers around the world, demonstrated to the world how to help give voice to pressing social issues for the common good, and done this steadfastly with great commitment. Your efforts are an example to all art makers, activists, and lovers of equality and justice that we can use our talents and our passions to support the causes we believe in. Your award-winning documentaries and series on the topics of gun violence, protest movements, and women-centered peace activism have screened around the globe, functioning at both grassroots outreach and captivating storytelling. Additionally, your nonprofit organization, Peace is Loud, is working directly with women who are resisting violence in their communities, helping real change, turning the world into a better place central to their lives. For your work, with and without the camera, and your tireless dedication to supporting and telling the stories of the astounding women who are agents of peace, Simmons College bestows upon you today, Abigail Disney, the degree of Doctor of Public Arts, honoris causa.
Thank you for indulging the selfie. President Drennan, trustees, faculty, esteemed faculty, Professor Dumbledore, parents, family, friends, others, significant others, insignificant others, friends, Romans, countrymen, and you guys. Congratulations. A lot of people make the commencement speech about advice, and I only have two pieces of advice for you. One is listen to your parents. Yeah. I know they sound stupid now, but they really do know what they're talking about. They really, really do. Just listen to them. And the other one is wear sensible shoes, girls. Just wear sensible shoes. That's all the advice. That's all you need, really. Okay, I'm going to start with a quote. I used to be a teacher, so I kind of like to start with a quote. So I'm going to test you, and I have $50 for the first person who can identify this quote. Okay? Despite everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Nice.
Nice. Well, I lied about the $50, sorry. So this is just about the best known phrase from Anne Frank's beautiful, beautiful diary. But have you ever asked yourself why Anne Frank's diary? Why is it that Anne Frank still touches us all, is still read so broadly around the world by boys and girls? And why is it the way that we choose to try to understand this world-changing event, the Holocaust? Why is it the way we try to reach into something that, in fact, she didn't really talk about in the book? It's the big empty space that the book writes around. There were other, more learned people who wrote extensively about the same events, perhaps with greater clarity, more academic credentials, people like Primo Levi and Elie Wiesel. Some of the world's greatest minds have weighed in with irony and sarcasm, with deep pathos and horror and regret and with rage. But no one's voice has quite resonated in the way that Anne's still does. And no voice is arguably more of a marker of this important moment than hers. What is it about Anne's voice that we can't get enough of? I believe she holds a special place of prominence because she was a girl. Or more accurately, a girl on the precipice of becoming a woman. Or to quote that great poet laureate of America, Britney Spears, she was a girl, not yet a woman. She stood on this very important cusp between all that is innocent and possessed all the possibility of who she could become. And let's face it, if there were an Andy Frank out there who had written a diary, I don't think we'd know about it. And there's a reason for that. As much as we love boys, a girl holds a special place because, like all children, she's innocent of the conflict, but unlike a boy, she was unlikely to ever grow up and be a participant or a party to it. She's innocent not just because she hasn't perpetrated any of the crimes, but because there's nothing about the world around her at that moment that strikes her as anything but fleeting and illusory. She would eventually come to be defined by what was done to her and her loved ones by others, but she speaks from a peaceful core. As a woman was unlikely ever to resort to violence as redress and therefore perpetuate the eye for an eye cycle that had left her whole world nearly blind. It's an interesting fact of life that when you want to know what's important, you can always look at what the bad guys are up to. And we can surmise how much girls and young women mean to the world right now, because girls and young women are really where it's at if you're a bad guy. Girls and young women are being targeted deliberately, not just by the kinds of social systems that the Taliban and their like favor, but here in the supposedly enlightened West, on websites, through pornography, in our media, and across every sector of our society. But here's why I'm not worried about you, and why you shouldn't be either. They are targeting you not because you are weak, but because you are strong. Not because you are not important, but because you matter more now than you ever have. Not because you are limited, but because the possibilities you represent are limitless. We inhabit a peculiar, but also really promising moment in history. Never before have airplanes flown so close to graduations. Never before have the world's traditional divisions, things like borders or regions or languages or even oceans and physical distances, never before have the divisions been so irrelevant. And as the one and only class of people least rewarded by, and therefore least invested in all of those crumbling systems of difference and separation, girls and women are best poised to thrive and lead in a newly fluid world. I spent some years while my children were young, somewhat tethered to New York City, learning about grassroots women's activism up close. And I met some extraordinary women in that world, many of whom have displayed the kind of courage and integrity that normally you go to epic poetry to find. But there it was, right under my nose, heroically laboring to soften the injuries of poverty, raise the voices of the unheard, push back on the depredations of that relentless incarnation of capitalism that characterizes our cities. Were they all women? No, but women dominated those spaces, and I came to love them and to see them as my tribe. There was something that drew us together, a common ethos that was deeper and more powerful than all externalities, race, class, geography, sexual orientation, language, history, that might otherwise have made us feel disinclined to bother with friendship. And years later, when my kids were older and I started traveling further afield to see what that kind of organizing looked like in other countries and other cultures, I was stunned to discover that it looked and sounded exactly the same. That deep ethos, that vocabulary about justice, that inclination to bring a sense of humor to everything, no matter how rough things were getting, that reflex toward democracy, that shared ethos was immediately and totally identifiable, whether it was in a job training program in Rabat, a sex trafficking program in Cambodia, it's patriarchy, man. Or a peace-building program in Liberia. All these disparate women were in fact the same people, with the same aspirations and the same style of action. And given that none of these groups had ever had the capacity to know each other, much less communicate with each other, I'm still not sure how this managed to happen, but the echoes were unmistakable. When I started making films about the courage and the tenacity of the women I had met around the world, I did so in part to spread what I saw as the good news. I was a bit of a lost lamb when I began my work in New York City, a girl without direction, whose proper place and highest purpose on the planet was not making itself clear to me. And in my camaraderie with some of the bright, powerful women of the city, I found not only a great way to make social change, but also a purpose of my own. And that was the good news I wanted to spread, that if you take yourself outside of your normal confines, if you leave the familiar behind, if you open your heart to the possibility that as well-educated as you are, you know very little about the way the world works for the vast majority of its inhabitants, if you have the humility to work hard, simply to be useful and to learn, you will find your marching orders for a life of meaning and a tribe alongside which to do the work of your heart. Why should we believe that anything might be different if women could finally take their place side by side with men in leadership for the first time ever in human history? For that, I need to tell you a story. Don't worry, it's a short story. In 2003, when the Liberian women were looking to stop the fighting in their country, the endless, unspeakable slaughter of everyone and everything they treasured, they reached a point of total exasperation. There was no amount of appealing to reason or decency that seemed to have an impact on the men who insisted on dragging out the conflict, no matter what the cost to their countrymen on the ground. So in one final act of desperation, the women locked arms, sent a note to the men inside the peace talks, saying that they were taking the peace talks hostage on behalf of the women of Liberia. And when security came to arrest them, one woman stepped forward and started to strip herself naked. Security, in deference to her dignity, refused to arrest her. And what followed were an extraordinary number of dynamical shifts in the talks, which ultimately resulted in a peace agreement being signed. That agreement holds today, 11 years later. It is the longest unbroken period of peace in Liberia's modern history, 12 years later. I'm not here to tell you that I think women are more saintly than men. We all have mothers. You and I both know for a fact they're not, but I still believe that they hold the key to more peace and democracy around the world. Not because they're better than men, but because they're different. Are they different because of biology, evolution, X chromosomes, Diet Coke? I don't know. I think we'll probably never know, but we have millennia of history to indicate, at least where war is concerned, that one gender does tend to rush into it more often than the other. The fact is that everywhere on earth, women are charged with feeding and housing and clothing and carrying out the dead and managing the market and finding the water and caring for the sick and disabled. They are, in fact, charged with the things which, when grouped together, constitute life. And if they're inclined toward peace and away from aggression, it's because peace is the single most important and necessary precondition for them to succeed at what they're doing. And here's why I'm so sure that matters. While we were making the film, I was able to spend some time talking to one of the warlords who'd been in that room. And I asked him, given that more than half of the women in the country had been raped, why one woman threatening to strip naked could make all of that difference. And he looked at me like I was the biggest idiot ever. Clearly, he'd never heard such a stupid question. And he said, they were our mothers. And I still looked confused, and so he said, you'd have to ask yourself, what would cause your own mother to give away her last shred of dignity like that? He said, there wasn't one man in that room in that moment who didn't ask himself, what have I done to get us to this point? Talk about a dynamical shift. Can you imagine a government shutdown or a conversation about healthcare if everyone asked themselves what they'd done to get us to that point? I tell you this story because it contains everything you need to know about the promise of the coming century and about the promise of your leadership. Because the hope for women's leadership is not that you will transform the demographic composition of the rooms where leaders gather. It's the hope that by doing so, the room changes, the room itself, and that it changes for good. And let's face it, if women can bring all of themselves to leadership, if they can speak up in the till now discredited voices of their experiences, holding up half the sky, and by the way, it's 51% of the sky, if they can truly alter the dynamics of power, what other modes of behavior might they open up to the men in those spaces? Because let's face it, men are just as locked into cultural expectations of their behavior as women are, and they are, more often than not, harder on each other about gender than they ever are on us. So what might become possible when gender dynamics loosen, when everybody gets to be all of themselves rather than the person they feel expected to be? Movements are forming around the world, vast historic movements powered by easy access to global social media, quick transport, global banking systems, legal mechanisms to protect human rights, and these movements have increasingly learned to assert themselves to bring accountability to power. We've seen it happen on the small scale in city halls around the US, and on the large scale in bringing down the succession of tyrants around the Middle East, struggles that continue to unfold before our eyes. These newfound powers might seem frightening at first, but again and again, when they have had significant numbers of women at their forefront, they have led with demands not simply to hand power on to the next tyrant, but to build democracies, restore education and jobs for all. You need only look at the difference between Tunisia and Egypt to see the difference. These are not traditionally thought of as women's issues, but they are invariably the things women look to restore when they step into power from within grassroots movements. It's famously a Chinese phrase to say, curse, to say, may you live in interesting times. And my goodness, these are interesting times. In some ways, we face emergency as never before, and I'm sure I could list all the ways in which things are scaring bad and getting scarier all the time, but alongside all this emergency is opportunity. I like to think of it as opporturgency or emergitunity. Consider this. The phrase NGO, which means non-governmental organization, was unknown before 1950, when a UNESCO document first coined it to describe a newly emerging form of development organization acting unaffiliated with government and mostly powered by money raised from individuals, a charity. Today in the US alone, there are more than 2 million NGOs, and most of those have been organized in the last 30 years. I want you to stop and consider this for a minute. Yes, there's been an information revolution and a travel revolution and a banking revolution in the last 30 years. Alongside all those other revolutions, a quiet but extremely important parallel one has also been unfolding. If the Industrial Revolution didn't have a name until it was mostly over, what would we call this one? Never in history have so many individuals chosen not just to give to charity, but to step into careers and lives fully given over to the betterment of the human condition, very often foregoing better paying opportunities to do so, and even more often on behalf of people far away that they will never know or come to know personally. Never before have so much money and energy been funneled into these kinds of efforts. And when I say people, I hasten to add, not because I'm biased, but because it is true, that this sector is overwhelmingly populated by women. So consider this. Women have access to power and elected office as they never have before. Women have access to money and to the jobs that influence money as they never have before. Women are situated at the highest places in international agencies, courts of justice, businesses, banks, and lenders as never before. Women have access to education and unfettered communication and media as never before. And women have quietly built a wholly unprecedented structure to further the social good, quite under our noses and without anybody getting any attention. This is all great, but this is the beginning of the possibilities we have before us. Consider what has lined up in front of us and ask yourself, how do I choose to fit into this picture? How will I make the difference I can make? How am I uniquely situated on this earth, and what part will I choose to play as this unfolds? I submit to you humbly that the only difference, the most important difference you can make will be because you're a woman, because you're Black, because you're Muslim, because you're lesbian, because you have cerebral palsy, because you're ugly. The only differences that you will make will be in bringing all that is about you that is different, that is special, that might be agonizing, that might be scary, and bring it to the front and place it there on the table and make it the center of everything. That is how the world is going to change. These are hard questions and these are big challenges, but they are the defining questions of your time. But don't panic. They are not challenges so much as opportunities. And lest you despair, remember that no one expects you to do this on your own, nor in your own lifetimes. When I get discouraged, I remember Susan B. Anthony, who spent a lifetime fighting to see women vote and never lived to see her success. But she died a happy woman, knowing that others would pick up her fight and push it forward. May we all choose a battle too large to see won in our own lifetimes. And may we all choose to put our shoulders to the wheel together with everything we have together to push it forward as far as we can so that those ahead of us will have an easier task. Thank you so much, and good luck to all of you.
That was a wonderful message for these young women. Honestly, you did a fabulous job. So some of us had the pleasure of spending the evening last night with our honorary degree recipients, two of whom will be conferred degrees this afternoon with Abigail Disney, our only morning honoree. And I will have to say that the opportunity to hear even more about what Abigail has done is the kind of thing that will provide for each and every one of our students encouragement in those down hours. So don't throw away this little booklet. Put it somewhere. When you need courage, you pull it out and you read one or two of the pieces, the documentaries that Abigail has done. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Last night we watched 2 trailers and we got the point. And it will be a very valuable, lasting gift to you. And you will never say, I can't even remember who my commencement speaker was, because you will. Believe me, you will. Okay, now we turn to the conferring of degrees for the undergraduates. So these degrees are voted by the faculty and the Simmons College Board of Trustees and granted by the authority of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. When your degree is announced by the Chief Marshal, please stand. Remain standing until I have conferred your degree. Following the conferral of all degrees, the undergraduate students will come forward to the stage.
Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees please rise?
President Drinan, I have the honor to present to you for the baccalaureate degree these candidates who have completed all the conditions of scholarship and residence required by our faculty.
I hereby grant you your bachelor degrees and declare that you are entitled to all the rights, privileges, and dignities pertaining to those degrees. Please move your tassels from the left side of your cap to the right. Will the baccalaureate degree candidates please come forward to the stage? The candidates for the degree are led by the class council and student government officers.
Sana Sajad, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Crystal Diane DeRosier, Bachelor of Science, cum laude. Jillian Pearl Malcolm, Bachelor of Science. Samantha Audrey Ferguson, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Megan J. Moore, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, magna cum laude. Taylor Fitzgerald Mahoney, Bachelor of Science, magna cum laude. Zara Miriam Ali, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, cum laude. Erin Adelaide Inman Butterfield, Bachelor of Arts. LaShawn Renee Holloway, Bachelor of Arts. Anwar Al-Rafai, Bachelor of Science. Bachelor of Arts, Jordan Mackenzie Agent. Sabrina Nicole Aguilar. Eva Dakar Honor, magna cum laude. Brittany C. Barta, cum laude. Lauren Elizabeth Bissonnette, magna cum laude. Annika Blake Howland. Kristen Elizabeth Blow. Suzanne Emmanuelle Bourdonnais. Emily Louise Bova. Ariella F. Brown, cum laude. Renata Buell, magna cum laude. Anne Shreve Cameron. Jasmine Chanel Clark. Mary Catherine Camiso, magna cum laude. Alyssa Marie Conley, member of the Academy, magna cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth Connolly, cum laude. Lauren Elizabeth Contick, magna cum laude. Ashley Converse. Amelia Gabriella Cordici, magna cum laude. Cameron Helen Court, cum laude. Haley Elizabeth Costin. Anne E. Crockett, member of Academy, magna cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth DeVellis. Alyssa Erin Deedy. Sydney Nicole Deathridge. Irene Lucas Droney. Hannah Parker Ellerkamp, magna cum laude. Emmeline Spire Ferguson. Kelly Ann Ferguson. Crystal Marie Giletti. Erica Catherine Gulbranson. Emily Helen Goldspink. Katerina Marie Guduras, cum laude. Alyssa Paige Grassa, magna cum laude, member of Academy. Christine Michelle Gronberg. Laura Elizabeth Henchen, magna cum laude. Susanna Merle Hamilton, cum laude. Mary Elizabeth Harrington. Grace Ann Hastings, magna cum laude. Lindley Evans Hayes, cum laude. Melanie Louise Headland, cum laude. Anya Maria Hess. Sydney Jean. Marcela Rosalia Jimenez. Lindsay Rebecca Johnson. Marissa Lane Johnson, magna cum laude. Cynthia Ikarizi Kangeo, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Kinney, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Crystal Ann Lack. Monica Christie Lanciano. J. Keisha Marie La Rosa. Charles Wesley Larson. Anna Sophia Marquis. Elsie Charlene Mayo. Denver Ryan McCartney, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Alex Bullock McManus. Megan D. McNulty. Alexis Leigh Michaud, cum laude. Christy Lee Mileby. Kristen Louise Moshe. Perina Angelise Mora. Candace Mary Mullane. Madeline Sophie Ullman, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Amanda Megan Peavy, magna cum laude. Ahelia Prasad. Zenaida Elena Peterson, cum laude. Micah Lee Phillips, cum laude. Karen Fung, magna cum laude. Megan Elizabeth Pierce. Bruna Furtado Perez, magna cum laude. Morgan Converse Pruden, magna cum laude. Gabrielle Ray Rasmussen, magna cum laude. Brittany Marie Redfield, magna cum laude. Allison Taylor Richards, member of Academy, magna cum laude. Camille Adriana Ring. Nicole G. Ringland. Jacqueline Michelle Rivard. Lillian Genevieve Rodseth, magna cum laude. Emmeline Napier Rosenberg. Cassandra Marie Rowe, cum laude. Amira Yasmin Sakar, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Jessica Danielle Sands. Rebecca Santos Sitahal. Meredith Diana Sharka, member of Academy, magna cum laude. Sarah Shkreta. Emily Susan Singer, magna cum laude. Mackenzie Lauren Snow, cum laude. Kate Elizabeth Steeper, cum laude. Alexandra Dale Stonehouse. Sarah Constance Sumter. Grace Tang. Caitlin Elizabeth Terry. Lindsay Marie Pualewa Troy. Avery Elizabeth Vanas. Ashley Rebecca Vitale, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Tabitha Caroline Waite, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Abigail Nancy Walters, magna cum laude. Ava Josephine Marie Weber. Nina Marion Williams, cum laude. Tiana Hathaway Withers. Sarah Catherine Yao. Bachelor of Science. Fabiola Michelle Abisa. Carrie-Ann Nichelle Atchison. Faye M. Akhalifa. Amira Ali Algarni. Geeti Anwar. Anastasia E. Arena, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Ann Barth, cum laude. Bethany Ann Bollier. Emily Paige Belanger. Caroline Elizabeth Bishop, cum laude. Susan Eileen Boyce. Jessica Brown. Julia Marie Karen. Nina Ben Chen, member of Academy, magna cum laude. Jeanette Marie Chenevert, cum laude. Joanne Ching, member of Academy. Cordero. Amanda Lee Cordero. Taylor Joan Courts. Caroline Alice Coughlin, magna cum laude. Khalidi M. Darcy, cum laude. Chloe Elizabeth Davis, cum laude. Elena L. Denoncourt. Miriam Dudari. Catherine Elizabeth Darren. Ashlyn Ritger Dindorf. Whitney Lauren Doran, cum laude. T. Tui Duong, cum laude. Gerby Duval. Farah Etienne. Bonnie Sarah Ferreira. Jolie Victoria Farrow, magna cum laude. Jennifer Lynn Field, magna cum laude. Sandy Aisha Fonseca Lopes. Alicia Marie Fontana. Kelsey Louise Friend. Federica Sofia Garcia Muchacho. Sally Ann Garland. Mariamawit Gebremeskel. Maura B. Grimes. Ashley Ray Hatcher, magna cum laude. Alexandra Kucher Hill, cum laude. Farah Rita Kazane. Jillian Lee Kitterick. Amanda Blair Koschel, cum laude. Catherine Ann Kulig, member of Academy, magna cum laude. Deepa Kamarjibkuda. Alexandra Elaine Laband, cum laude. Ramona Marie Latronica. Leah Catherine Lyons, magna cum laude. Mary Christine Magera. Sarayu Meghana Menjipudi. Jessica Rose McElroy. Felicity Ann Meyer. Shelby Elizabeth Minahan. Geraldine Morales. Jenya M. Naka. Norman. Caitlin Michelle Normand, magna cum laude. Julie Paige Pelosi, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Liza Marie Parsons. Israt Pasha. Shraddha Kanalalal Patel. Maria Paz. Pelletier. Samantha Marie Pelletier, cum laude. Prudent Bernil Peters. Lillian Pham. Susan K. Phillip. Christina Maria Piaseski, magna cum laude. Michelle Ann Potter, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Jodiel Racine. Rebecca Riley, cum laude. Stephanie Tara Roberts. Casey Suzanne Robinson Bullock, cum laude. Caitlin Ann Rook. Erica C. Roden. Rhea Roy. Hannah Elizabeth Russell. Catherine Delvica Sabatino. Iman Saeed. Sarah Eleonora Shabs. Emily Anna Schuyler. Caitlin Jan Shoemaker, cum laude. Hannah Lori Sieber, magna cum laude. Alexandra G. Sorrentino. Jacqueline Marie Suarez, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Nargis Zara Saeed. Alexandra Mary Michike Streichler, magna cum laude. Amy Ann Thornton. Brenda Tran. Laura Elizabeth Travers, magna cum laude. Jennifer Lee Tully. Grace C. Vanderhoop. Hannah Fenno Vo, cum laude. Marlena Catherine Vitali. Maria Veronina, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Meng Yi Wang, cum laude. Victoria Alexis Weber. Abrielle Christina Webster. Kelly Marie Williamson, cum laude. Hillary Hu Wei Wong. Mandy Wong. Tessa Town Zach. Natalie Rose Zellman. Caroline M. Zook. Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Michelle Saad Alyssa. Brittany Lynn Ballard, magna cum laude. Larissa Camilo Cacique. Laura T. Chandler, cum laude. Carla Angelica Da Silva. Anna Dye. Sarah Emily Flynn. Sabrina Elizabeth Franco. Victoria Chiffon Glover. Manelli A. Gonsalves. Emma Jean Hebelwaite, cum laude. Samantha Rose Hill. Laura Ann Mott, cum laude. Lynette Maureen McLaughlin, cum laude. Laura Pauline Meadows. Carolyn Melissa Mitchell, cum laude. Tao Nguyen, magna cum laude. Jacqueline Fan. Mackenzie Lee Faniff. Sarah Elizabeth Periski, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Shay Rose Riley. Victoria Mercedes Saber. Marwa S. Salam. Preeti Sharma. Tori Lynn Wenzel, cum laude. Bachelor of Science in Nursing. All right, come on. Come on. Laura Beth Abbott. Silvana Marina Adley. Greta Alvarez. Cynthia Antonor. Emanuela Donata Antonellis. Vanessa Aspelair. Ashley Marie Oranger, cum laude. Amanda Marie Bartram. Margaret Jean Bennett, cum laude. Megan Ashley Bissell. Elizabeth M. Bradley. Lisa Chan. Jessica Lee Shute. Allison Marie Cipriano. Julia Marie Craig. Hannah Margaret Cunningham. Amanda Lee Davis. Jessica Rose Demichis, cum laude. Emily Marie Drew. Chisholm Ibele. Annabelle Faith Iliopoulos, magna cum laude. Brittany Faye Izell. Christina Marie Filipovich. Laura Lani Fishpaw. Savannah Mary Fredero. Taylor Hartley Frazier. Ashley Taylor Fuller. Ariella Cooperman. Christina and Angela Gitzi. Chrissy Jeannie. Emily Catherine Granahan, cum laude. Amy Elizabeth Griffin, magna cum laude. Sarah Marie Harrelson. Brittany Danielle Hill, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Avery H. Hines. Emily Higgins Holmes, cum laude. Flora Hu. Cara Marie Hughes. Jennifer Brooks Inlows, member of Academy and summa cum laude. Julia Sandra Eisenberg. Megan Catherine Kelly. Caroline Ann Kiley. Lori Jean Kelsch, cum laude. Paige Catherine Kramer, magna cum laude. Maris Herendine Lavangi, cum laude. Lena Sarah Manelson Lax, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Nina Zoe Lewison, cum laude. Victoria Rose Luongo. Danielle Lee McKenzie. Deanna K. Mackinnon, cum laude. Danielle Marie Malfitano, cum laude. Desta Marika, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Miranda Ryan Martin. Lisa Marie Maschiovecchio. Mouthful. Olivia Mary Matthews. Danielle Elizabeth McMahon. Caitlin Mary McNally. Megan Jean Morissette, cum laude. Amanda L. Morse. Caitlin Marie Mulcahy, cum laude. Joffe A. Nanje. Julie No. Stephanie Nicole Oliveri. Jessica Ann Onembo, cum laude. Courtney Melissa Poirier, cum laude. Miranda Jean Puddington. Propolo. Vicky Ann Propolo Chipman. Susan Kwan. Erin Mary Reed. Marissa Ann Richards. Kayla Richardson. Alexandra Nasibe Seyfulahi, cum laude. Megan Elizabeth Shea, cum laude. Jordan Elizabeth Sheehan. I know. Cara Marie Silva, magna cum laude. Melody Reyes Sokol. Megan Malia Swadin, cum laude. Chelsea Ann Sweeney, cum laude. Rachel Sweeney. Eliza Bishop Taylor. Sarah Ann T. Allison Lynn Tremblay, cum laude. Shaylin Davis Waller, cum laude. Josephine W. Wararu. Paige Pauline Wilcox, cum laude. Meredith Abigail Williams, cum laude. Eliza Gabriella Zimmerman, cum laude. Bachelor of Social Work in the first graduating BSW class. Pioneers. Lauren Faye Backus. Jessica Sarah Cohen. Helen Bonifade Ferranti, magna cum laude. Hannah Mariah Fish, magna cum laude. Jenna Marie Goodwin. Julie Christine Greeno. Ellen Ray Johnson. Samantha Hannah Kreitman. Sarah Lynn Lantich, magna cum laude. Kimberly Ann Lopez, cum laude. Larissa Mello Pankowski, member of Academy, summa cum laude. Nicole Janine Poirier. Shannon Marie Sullivan. Elizabeth Lee Thompson, cum laude. Olivia Tossi. Jessica Marie Ushman.
Congratulations to all of our graduates. One of Simmons' strategic goals is to continue to create a more student-centered community. Each class chooses a class color and a class flag, and these flags are unfurled on Founders Day in the year in which they joined the college and displayed all year long in the College Center. Today, as the class of 2015 becomes our newest Simmons alumni class, I ask Class President Sana Sadhad and Class Vice President Crystal Diane DeRoja to present their class flag to Ana Jimenez, President of the Alumni Association, and Lisa J.B. Peterson, Vice President of the Alumni Association. The class flag will now be part of their reunion celebration, thus continuing this tradition in the future. Congratulations and best wishes to all of you who have graduated today. Thank you to all of our guests for being part of this wonderful celebration. Please remain seated until the academic procession has concluded.
Let's do La Paris, fanfare de La Paris.
Is that one at the beginning?
Yeah, was in the beginning. Yeah, it's right before the Aida.
Right before Aida?
Right before
yeah,
Aida.
It doesn't have a name. So.
Oh, did it get cut off? That's it right there.
Yeah.